Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. The stakes have just gotten higher. August 29th, Moses Itauma versus Filip Hrgovic. Already, by far the toughest test Moses Itauma was going to face. Leaps and bounds above what Mike Balogun was. Leaps and bounds above Jermaine Franklin, what Dillian Whyte threw up. This was already the toughest fight for Moses Itauma in his young professional career. But at 21 years of age, come August 29th, when he takes the ring against Filip Hrgovic, he will not only be facing Filip Hrgovic, but he'll be taking on Filip Hrgovic for the IBF heavyweight vacant world title. Major news. And you know what? The stakes have just gotten higher and the pressure has just mounted on this fight because, look, Filip Hrgovic, very experienced. For me, there was very little pressure on Filip Hrgovic. The headlines are on Moses Itauma. Moses Itauma is this young, talented prospect. Everybody is watching to see Moses Itauma win this fight. Filip Hrgovic, like I said, is the old head in this. He is the veteran. He is the experienced fighter. He knows what he has to go in there and do. All of the focus and the pressure is on Moses Itauma, and that is just doubled, quadrupled, times to 100 because Moses Itauma at 21 years of age is going to be fighting for his very first world title. For me, coming into this fight, when I first spoke about this fight, when this fight first got announced, all I was hearing is Moses Itauma is going to absolutely run through Filip Hrgovic. And for me, it was never that fight and it will never be that fight. Filip Hrgovic is dramatically being overlooked in this fight. Not saying that he should be the favorite, not saying he should win this fight, but he's not a walkthrough. He's not Mike Balogun. He's not Jermaine Franklin. This is a tough test. This is a guy that's only lost one fight, and that was down to cuts against Daniel Dubois. Filip Hrgovic is a tough... You just saw what he does, all right? If you're not on his level, he'll run through you like he did Dave Allen. What he did to Dave Allen is exactly what I expect Moses Itauma to do to Dave Allen. The only difference is, so far in Moses Itauma's career, he's only been facing Dave Allen's, whereas Filip Hrgovic, he has been in there in some very tough fights. So, coming into this fight now, for me, already a tough fight. The pressure mounts for Moses Itauma because everybody's going to be watching to see Moses Itauma become a 21-year-old champion. He's not going to be the youngest champion of all time. He's not going to break Mike Tyson's record, but a world champion at 21 years of age is still one hell of an accomplishment. You can't downplay that. And all the focus, all the headlines now for this month will be on Moses Itauma. And the expectation was always Moses Itauma goes in and wins this fight. That expectation now has a whole lot of pressure on it because now the expectation is by September, Moses Itauma should be a world champion, a 21-year-old world champion. And look, whether that's right, whether that's wrong to be putting that much pressure on such a young person, no, it's probably not right, but that's the business he's in. Unfortunately, that's the business he's in, and that's what the headlines are going to read. And coming into this fight, look, fighting for a world title, that's already a huge accomplishment. For Filip Hrgovic, you know, he's going to want this fight even more now. This was supposed to be for Filip Hrgovic the gateway to a world title fight. It was supposed to be, let me go in there, beat Moses Itauma, and show that I deserve to be fighting for a world title. Well, all of a sudden, this is that world title. This is that opportunity that, you know, Filip Hrgovic has been waiting for a very long time. Moses Itauma also been waiting for this opportunity, but it's definitely come quicker than some people might have expected. Maybe it's come later than you've expected. Maybe you expected him to break Mike Tyson's record, but either way, coming into this fight, I looked at this fight and says, Moses Itauma should win, but it won't be easy. I think with everything you hear about Moses Itauma, the talent, the ability, what we've seen so far in his limited time in the ring, it's all there. It is all there. And at 21 years of age, to think what the next 10 years could look like for Moses Itauma, well, it all now starts August 29th. If it didn't already start August 29th, we're talking about a date that could be the start of a reign, a dynasty. We could see the start of the regime of Moses Itauma, that we see a champion hold belts for the next 5 to 10 years. That is a massive thing to say. And, you know, coming into this fight, I think it can be taken two ways. Moses Itauma could go in there, rip through him and become this world champion. But it can go another way. Moses Itauma could go in there and lose his first world title fight. He could get knocked out in his first world title fight. Nothing's a guarantee. This is heavyweight boxing. We have not yet seen Moses Itauma get hit by a good punch. Let's not get that wrong. Filip Hrgovic, he's not the biggest puncher, in my opinion, in the heavyweight division, but they're fucking heavyweight boxers. They're 240-odd pounds. they're going to still hit like an absolute fucking truck. And you saw the type of punches he was landing on Dave Allen. I think Filip Hrgovic's 1-2 is a supreme 1-2. Like, he's got a ramrod jab followed by that straight right. Is a good puncher, man. And we haven't seen anybody land anything on Moses Itauma, never mind seeing what Filip Hrgovic might be able to land on him. So, look, the fight can go two ways, and it was always going to go two ways. But the fact now that there is that added pressure of this world title, it'll be interesting to see how Moses Itauma handles himself, handles the occasion, handles the fight, because it can be overwhelming for anybody coming into their first world title fight. Never mind a 21-year-old kid who not only hasn't been in a world title fight, but he hasn't even been in there with a person that is world level. All right, he hasn't been in there with anybody on the top 15. He hasn't been cracked by somebody that hits like Filip Hrgovic. Obviously, he's probably getting that in sparring. All right, don't get me wrong. He trains with Fabio Wardley. I'm not oblivious to the fact that, yes, he's probably been hit in sparring, but we don't know what's happening in sparring. We don't know what he's done in sparring. We don't know the wars he's been in sparring, or the lack of wars, or what's happened ins and out of training. This could very well be the first war that he's in. We don't know. You don't know. Only the people in the inner sanctum know what Moses Itauma has been doing in sparring, but from all the stories that we hear, that he runs through everybody in sparring. Filip Hrgovic, for me, is not going to be run through. And it will be interesting in a world title fight to see that what happens the first time that Moses Itauma does get hit. What happens when this fight doesn't finish in 4 rounds? What is it going to look like come round 8, come 9, come 10? Because for me, Moses Itauma has the athleticism, has the speed, and has the power to knock out Filip Hrgovic. All right, I'm not downplaying that 1 second. But to think that he's going to do what he did to Mike Balogun, if he's able to do it, fuck me, at 21 years of age in a world title fight to do that, we could be looking at the next greatest of all time, right? And I'm not going to downplay that 1 second. I think if he can go in there and knock out Filip Hrgovic in 2 rounds, fuck me. But I just don't see the fight going that way, all right? I just don't see it. You look at Daniel Dubois and how hard he hits. Like I said, it took cuts to stop Filip Hrgovic. I don't see Moses Itauma running through him, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles that pressure, how he changes his game plan, how he handles it mentally, because it's a fucking huge opportunity now. For me, this was always the fight to get a world title fight. This was always one stop before that fight. This was always, all right, you're going to beat Filip Hrgovic. If you beat Filip Hrgovic, the next fight for you is a world title. Don't know which, governing agency that was going to be, whether it was going to be against the winner of Fabio Wardley, Daniel Dubois, whether it was actually what I thought it was going to be, which was Frank Sanchez for the IBF. He's got his hands in a lot of different pies here, right? It could have been Murat Gassiev, but it was always he beats Filip Hrgovic first, gets that experience, gets that win, and then he gets the world title shot. This has come early, man, and on a month's notice to say, all right, you're going to be in a world title fight against Filip Hrgovic, the pressure's got to mount, and I'm very intrigued, and I hope Moses Itauma can handle it. I hope we get to see the best Moses Itauma, and for me, I will stay on it. I hope Moses Itauma wins. I got nothing against Filip Hrgovic, but I know how the world can turn on somebody quickly, all right? And I can tell you right now, if things don't go great on August 29th, you're going to hear some people that were all on the bandwagon of Moses Itauma quickly change their attitude, which is a fucking piss poor way of living your fucking life. But that is the world we live in. So for the sake of Moses Itauma, I do hope he wins. I hope he does get that world title, because I know lots of people will turn on this kid quick if things go wrong. And look, if it does go wrong, bro, you're 21, man. You're 21 in your first world title fight against a world level fighter in Filip Hrgovic. You can't win them all. And I think, how he handles this occasion, how he handles the win or the loss is going to tell us a lot about Moses Itauma. But fuck me, Moses Itauma, by the end of this month, will be fighting for a world title. If not, will be a world champion. Unbelievable stuff. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe. I'm out of here, guys. See ya.